Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. I think some of you were having some technical difficulties. I'm sorry about that. It looks like Snipfeed sent out some duplicates of the login, but it looks like we're all good. So I am just making sure we're all good. I think Jesse, Bonet, and Wild Tree Wise One, you guys were able to get in. I think you're in here now. Yes, awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so thank you guys for your patience and the technical difficulties there. Snipfeed is a new service that I'm using to make it easier for you guys to sign up for workshops and things like that right from my Instagram. So I'm still learning the system myself. So thank you for your patience and for being here tonight. And we'll get right into it. Just so you know, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube. It's not viewable on YouTube at the moment, but it will be after as a replay. So that's why I am recording it. So feel free to go in and out of camera view. Just be mindful of that, okay? And I just want to check to make sure that no one else is missing. And we look good. Okay, I think we are all here. So welcome, everyone. Welcome so much. I'm first going to just ask you to give me just a thumbs up. You can do it in the chat. You can do it in your reactions to let me know if you can see me and you can hear me okay. We have visual, we have audio, and are you able to see the screen that I am now sharing with you, which should say Intro to Meditation? Awesome. All right. Thank you. Okay, so I want to welcome you guys officially to the Introduction to Meditation workshop. And I want to, first of all, congratulate each and every one of you for taking this time for yourself. And I want to thank each of you for taking the time to learn about this beautiful and powerful practice. I'm Allie, aka BronxWitch, and I'm a witch, a tarot reader, and a healer. I'm also a meditation student. I'm currently studying for my 200-hour certification as a meditation coach. But I think a lot more important than that, just like you, I am a human being alive in 2022, and I'm doing my best to not only survive, but to thrive during all of the chaos and everything that is going on in our world. So I personally turn to a number of practices to try to help me do that. I have herbal and energetic magic in my life. I have witchcraft, I have divination and spirit communication. I have prayer and worship. And, you know, all of these things are really important, but probably the most important of all of these practices that I engage in, and the thing that I have found the most effective for me is meditation. So when I was deciding what topic I would present for my first public workshop, meditation seemed like an obvious choice. So in this workshop, I'm going to go over some basic information about meditation, including what it is, why it's so effective, and how to do it. I will also talk specifically about why meditation is so helpful for those of you who want to improve your ability to manifest or work magic to impact the physical world around you. And I will then talk just a little bit about the concept of sadhana and how that relates to a daily spiritual practice. And I think I'm just going to hit mute on a few folks. And if we can all try to keep ourselves muted just for minimizing on the feedback of sound, I so appreciate it. So finally, at the end of all of that, I am going to invite you all to join me on a 7-day sadhana challenge, which is going to kick off on this Sunday, Ostara, March 20th. We'll join each other for 7 days of community sadhana. So Ostara is the start of the new year astrologically. It's the start of Aries season. It's the spring equinox, and it brings with it a lot of energy of rebirth, of starting over, of planting new seeds. So if you're January New Year's resolution was to meditate more and you totally screwed up, and this is your time to forgive yourself and start over. And you can join us in this sadhana and have community to help you to, maybe stick to it this time. So for this workshop, as I said, I'm sharing my screen with you to show you a presentation. And this is essentially the outline of the order in which we'll be going through. Like I said, we'll talk about meditation and why, some forms, how it relates to magic, what a sadhana is. And then at that point, I will open it up to questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the chat. But I won't be getting to them until the Q&A. Okay, so if you need to leave early, but you still have a question that you would like to have answered, if you type it in the chat, hopefully I'll be able to get to it during the Q&A. And then when you watch the replay, your answer will be there for you, okay? All of you are going to get access to the replay for this. So shortly after this workshop is over, you will receive an email from me, which will have a link so that you can watch it again on YouTube. And in the email, you will also receive a link to a survey to provide me with some feedback about the presentation. And I need you to fill out the survey. pretty please. It's very short, but your feedback means so much to me. It's going to help me know what I can improve for the next time, and if there should be a next time. Okay, so please do fill out the survey that comes in your email. So let's get into it. What is meditation? Meditation is a practice that involves using a technique such as mindfulness or focusing on a particular activity or thought to achieve a mental state of clarity and an emotional state of calm. Now, why did I highlight the word practice here? I boldened and underlined practice because no matter what form of meditation is best for you, and we're going to talk about several forms, and no matter what your reason or intention behind meditation is, regular repetition of the practice is absolutely key to actually reaping the full benefits. This is because meditation in its highest form is really not something that we do. It's something that you are. The goal, if you want to think of it as a goal-based thing, is to exist in a meditative state at all times. Of course, I don't mean, like a zombie walking around and bumping into traffic and things like that. But what I mean by this is having mental clarity and emotional calmness, no matter what you're doing in your day and no matter what chaos might be going on all around you. So do me a favor and raise your hands if you like the idea of having mental clarity and emotional calmness at all times. And it's okay if you don't. Okay. All right, so a few of us are really into that idea. So if something like that appeals to you, then developing a meditative practice is going to really help that to be a reality for you, okay? And meditation techniques that we're engaging in the moment bring clarity and calm in the moment. But meditation as a practice allows that moment to extend throughout your day and bring clarity and calm continuously. Okay, so that's why for me, the practice part is the most important part of that definition. It's kind of like, working out or building a muscle. If you go to the gym and you work out once a month or once every few months or once in a year, you are exerting strength and working on your muscles in that moment. But the minute you put the weights down and you walk away, you can't really say that you're strong, right? But if you go and you meditate every day or you work out every day and your muscles get defined and they build up and they strengthen, then you can put the weights down and walk away and you are still strong. You could pick up a heavy box or lift something off of yourself. So a regular practice is what allows that state to become a continuous state and not just something that exists for the, 10, 15 minutes that we're meditating. All right. So we talked about the what and now the why. Why do we meditate? Because meditation is not the only thing that you can do to bring mental clarity and emotional calm. But why meditation is so particularly helpful for this helps if you understand some of the science behind meditation. So down at the bottom of this slide, I have included the information for a video that I find to be very, very helpful. The video is called The Science of Meditation, and it has a subtitle of Catalyst. It's by ABC Science, and you can really easily find it on YouTube. So I would definitely jot that down and take a look at it at some point. It's only about 25 minutes long, but it focuses on the science of meditation. And it basically follows the presenter who goes to the doctors and has a bunch of brain tests run on him on the very first day before beginning meditation. And he's somebody who's never really meditated before. And then after, I can't remember if it's 30 days or a few months, he goes back to the doctor, and it is incredible. You can see with your own eyes the ways in which his brain actually changes over the course of that time. So that's definitely a very interesting and helpful video to take a look at. But to kind of give you the basics of what we learn in that study is that meditation is a neuroregenerative practice. So what that means is that we know empirically with proof that meditating over time actually restructures the physical makeup of our brain. So we're not talking about just on a superficial level, right? Not just reprogramming the way we think about things, because that's kind of obvious. Yeah, okay, if I spend a few minutes every day thinking about a certain thing, over time, I'm going to believe that thing, or over time, I'll start thinking that way. But when we actually look at the brain under microscopes, under X-ray, we actually see that meditation on a cellular and molecular level changes and rebuilds the brain. It builds brain matter, it builds nerve connections, and it can even build brain tissue. And aside from all the amazing things that it does for the brain, it's also been proven to reduce blood pressure, improve sleep, and can even reduce the risk of certain cancers. And we know this empirically. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at that video for more information on the science. But of course, when our ancestors were first meditating, they didn't necessarily have any knowledge of this, and they still knew that this was a really important practice. So why have our ancestors been meditating for so long? When we look at ancient Buddhist and Hindu tantric practices, and this school of practice is really where we get the most codification of meditation, written down instruction on how to meditate and what it does for us. What we learned from them is that meditation served a far more spiritual purpose. In tantric philosophy, meditation is one of the practices that allows for the proper flow of Shakti, or divine feminine energy, through the energy centers of the bodies, which we call the chakras. Meditation awakens consciousness and opens the chakras so that Shakti energy can rise from the root chakra up through the crown and find liberation and full expression. This leads us to develop a deep connection with and an understanding of ourselves. And for some, this translates into a deep connection with and an understanding of God. So I probably don't have to explain how all of these physical attributes and benefits of meditation, paired with all of the spiritual benefits of meditation, can lead a person to have increased mental clarity and emotional calm. I mean, if my blood pressure goes down, I feel a lot calmer. And if I feel connected to God, I definitely feel a lot more mentally clear. So we can see how all of these things bring us to that state that we're looking for. Okay. So let's talk about the forms of meditation. And there are many types of meditation. You're most likely to be familiar with just one or two, but there are 9 that I'm going to talk about. What? 9 forms of meditation? I know, right? That is probably a complete surprise to most of us. It was a surprise to me when I learned about it. I knew that just sitting still, in one spot wasn't the only form, but I didn't realize that meditation really is a broad term that encompasses so many different types of practices. And so we're going to go through this diverse set of practices. And remember that the idea with this workshop is not just to find out what meditation is, but to find a form of meditation that works for you so that you can develop your own daily sadhana, right? And for those of us who have tried to meditate before, we probably have gotten stuck, or where we've struggled to develop a daily spiritual practice has probably had a lot to do with not having the right form of meditation for us. Okay, because I truly believe that meditation is for everyone. It really just comes down to finding the one that's right for you. And if the purpose is to develop mental clarity and emotional calm, then we want to stay away from types of meditation that are overwhelming, that make us feel like we just can't get it right, or that give us, anxiety or stress. We want to gravitate towards the forms of meditation that really make us feel like we're in a place where mental clarity and emotional calmness can actually happen. Okay. So starting off with the first type of meditation, we have mindfulness meditation. And this is the type of meditation that you are probably the most familiar with. It's the most common in the West. It comes from Buddhist teachings, and it basically just asks us to pay attention to our thoughts and to let them come and go without judgment or criticism. To sit silently, usually cross-legged or in a chair with your feet on the ground, and to just close your eyes or lower your gaze, and whatever thoughts come to you, just make peace with them, let them go. Don't judge yourself or criticize yourself for having this thought, and letting time go by while you're in this state. Now, this type of meditation is easy because you don't need any tools. You don't need a special place to do it. You don't need anyone's permission or instruction. But this is one of the more difficult types of meditation for a lot of people, because it's really easy to become distracted and restless and not feel like sitting there for all of that time, or to kind of criticize yourself for not staying quote unquote focused or quote unquote clearing your mind. Okay. It might be a great choice for you. That's just one of the difficulties that we hear people mention quite a bit about it. Next, we have spiritual meditation. Spiritual meditation is super, super, super diverse because it depends on the spiritual tradition that you are working with. Plenty of different spiritual traditions incorporate meditation into their process. And so the way that you do it depends on that spiritual, tradition. So some are easier than others. Some are focused on developing a deeper connection with yourself. Some are focused on developing a deeper connection with a certain deity or spirit. And this can be easy or difficult depending on the tradition. So you might have a tradition where that meditation, you have to be in a certain type of house of worship or spiritual place. You might have to have the guidance of an elder or someone who's initiated. You might have to have permission to work with a certain spirit, et cetera, et cetera. So the difficulty level there depends on the tradition itself. Focused meditation is another type. And this involves focusing on a particular element, such as your breath or a candle flame or a glass or a bowl or body of water. And the purpose of this type of meditation is to increase your ability to concentrate and sharpen your focus. This type of meditation is very helpful for manifestation and magic. And it's fairly easy because, again, there's no need for tools here necessarily, except for maybe what you want to focus on if you want to focus on an item. But just like mindfulness, it can be easy to get distracted, but a little less so because of the focus. So mindfulness is really very free form. Focus gives you at least a particular thing to focus in on. And if getting distracted during mindfulness meditation has been a problem for you, then you might want to try focused meditation, where you set the intention to focus on a particular thing and see if that is a little bit better for you because you've got something specific to focus on. Movement meditation is body action. And one of the first things we think of course, is yoga, and that's definitely one type. But you can also walk, sway, you can dance, you can garden, you can even do some type of repetitive action like needlepoint or beading a thread or counting on a set of mala beads. And this type of meditation is usually intended to increase your body awareness. So really beginning to understand your body, feel it. How's it feeling today? Does this hurt? Does that feel good? How do I move? And also to cultivate calmness while you engage in a certain task. So some people will practice this while grocery shopping in order to help make grocery shopping less stressful, less anxiety ridden for them. They will focus on a meditative practice while doing that action every week or every other day or what have you. Mantra meditation is both a Buddhist and a Hindu practice that involves the repetition of a mantra or a word, phrase, or saying. This kind of meditation can be done out loud or silently to yourself. And it's very helpful if just focusing on your breath is too difficult, or if you are the type of person that is just killed by silence. So if you are the type that when you're at home alone, you have got to have the TV on in the background, even if you're not watching, or you've got to put some music on or something like that, because silence just causes your mind to just kind of go all over the place, you might really be benefited from mantra meditation, because then you are not just sitting in silence if you don't want to. You can chant something over and over so that you're kind of almost insulated in a blanket of your own sound. So it satisfies that sensory part of your body that really craves for there being some type of vibration of sound around you. But the difference between this and having like the TV on in the background is the sound is coming from you, and it's a sound that you are making with intention. Okay, so I personally really enjoy mantra meditation, and I have found that helpful because mindfulness and focus meditation have all proven really hard for me. Next, we have transcendental meditation, which was founded by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And this refers to a specific practice that he came up with that is designed to, quiet the mind and induce a state of calm, just like any other meditative practice. It also involves the use of mantra, but it may not be very accessible to everyone because it is best taught by a transcendental meditation practitioner. And I am not one of those. So if that is appealing to you, you will probably want to get some instruction by a certified practitioner for that type and learn more about it. Progressive relaxation, which is also sometimes called body scan meditation, involves tensing and then gradually relaxing different parts of the body. This form of meditation is aimed at identifying and releasing tension in your body. It's really great for physical relaxation. It's really great if you have some type of physical pain or injury, or if you have trouble falling asleep because of the tension of the day. It's very easy. It can pretty much be done anywhere for any length of time. And because you only have to focus on one part of the body at any given time, it's good if you struggle with being distracted. The downside is because you are only focusing or primarily focusing on the physical aspect of tensing a part of your body, your mind can wander a little bit. So we definitely get the physical relaxation, but sometimes not necessarily that mental clarity that we're looking for. Okay. But some people really enjoy body scan meditation, and we'll definitely do it at some point in the 7 days of sadhana. Next, we have loving kindness meditation, which involves opening yourself to receiving love from others and then sending well wishes back out to others. I really love this form of meditation for groups. It's really, really nice to sit around with a group of homies or even strangers and just focus on feeling the love that they are sending you and sending that love out back to them. I'm a Reiki practitioner, so that's probably why I'm a little, a bit of a favoritist about this one, because Reiki practice is really, that's what it's all about, is about channeling love, unconditional love from the universe and just directing it right at another person and just showering them with absolute pure love. So I love that, and I love receiving it. And you don't have to be in a group to do this, though. You can definitely still do this on your own and just imagine yourself receiving the love that is free floating in the cosmos. It's all around us. It's an energy. So it's all around us. And then sending more of it back out into the world. And given all the things that are going on in the world right now, from the war and genocide and pandemics and all of the struggle, this is something that I'd like to think you get an extra point from the heavens for doing this, for sending a little love out into the world. So we will do that in our sadhana at some point as well. And then finally, we have visualization meditation. And this involves seeing with your mind's eye a particular scene or a scenario with incredible focus, detail, and clarity. This is the type of meditation that you usually participate in when you do a guided meditation. Okay, so when you tune into, you might have guided meditations on YouTube or on an app or something like that, and they will physically take you to a valley with a stream, and they will describe how the water feels hitting your face, and they will describe how the grass looks and ask you to let your mental eye go there. That is a visualization meditation. And this type of meditation is very, very helpful for manifestation and magic. We can use it to visualize our precise desire, our precise wanted outcome of a spell or a ritual, and really see it happening in real time in our mind's eye as we cast our spell, write our petition, etc. And that really helps to clarify exactly what it is you want to have happen as a result of your manifestation or your magic spell. Okay. So next, we are going to talk a little bit about manifestation and magic and how meditation relates to that. This is a good segue. I feel like I have to talk about this in this meditation workshop because I am a witch and a magical practitioner, and I imagine that some of you are on a similar journey. And if you follow BronxWitch, you probably are dabbling a little bit, as Josie might say, maybe not 10 toes, we might be 1 toe to Josie's 10 toes, but you might be 1 or 2 toes into working magic and trying to be a stronger manifester. And meditation will definitely help you with that. In his book, Psychic Witch, Matt Oren does a really great job of explaining the physical connection between meditation and magic. So if you can see my screen, this is what the book looks like. Betty's got her copy right on her desk, ready to go. If you are a part of the BronxWitch Coven and you are a seeker level member and you participate in the book club, we are reading this book right now. So this all lined up really wonderfully for me. But in Matt's book, he has a really wonderful quote on page 23. He says, meditation is the foundation of all psychic ability, and in my personal opinion, all acts of magic. By learning to relax and by doing breath work, we can quickly shift our brainwave state and level of consciousness, which puts us in an altered state that allows us to receive psychic information and perceive energies more readily. Why? Meditation teaches us about how our minds will work, how to focus, and how to direct our awareness and therefore our will. So here, Matt is explaining how meditation contributes to our ability to work magic because of the way that it clears and strengthens the psychic mind. Strengthening the psychic mind allows us to not only know with clarity what we want, but, and that's like the receiving part, what we want, knowing clearly what we want, but also how to project our want or our will onto others and the world around us. And that is the directing part. Okay. So that's sort of a magical benefit of meditation. But you might be interested in meditation more for the spiritual aspect of it. And I find that the Upanishads, the Upanishads are amazing, ancient Vedic scripture. This is my little copy. The Upanishads are big. This is a small excerpt of them translated by Swami Prabhavananda and Frederick Manchester. And the Upanishads, they explore a lot of amazing things, most specifically the self and the Hindu mysticism view that the self and God are really very much one and the same. And the way the Upanishads offers an explanation of the connection between meditation and manifestation focuses on that spiritual development. And it says, this effulgent self is to be realized within the lotus of the heart by continence, by steadfastness in truth, by meditation, and by superconscious vision, whether of heaven or of heavenly enjoyments, whether of desires or of objects of desire. Whatever thought arises in the heart of the sage is fulfilled. So the Upanishads explores the quest to know both the self and God, which in Hindu mysticism, like I said, can be in essence be thought of as the same thing. Through meditation, one is able to become acquainted with our true self, which is said to reside in the heart. And by coming to know that self, we are able to fulfill whatever desires we hold in our heart. Literally, whatever our hearts desire. And we come to know that true self through steadfastness of truth, superconscious vision, and meditation. So whether we're meditating to sharpen our psychic minds in the physical sense, or we're meditating to deepen our connection to self in a spiritual way, the result is going to be a strengthened ability to change or influence the world around us and bring our desires into reality. So let's talk a little bit now about what is this word that I keep using, sadhana. What in the world am I saying here? We've talked at length about what meditation is and why it can be so transformative and influential in our lives. And we've talked about the process of incorporating meditation to enhance our manifestation and magic. But how do we do it? And how do we develop a practice around it that is lasting in our lives? So sadhana is a Sanskrit term that means daily spiritual practice. That's the short version. It actually means something much more complex than that in tantric practice, but this is the definition that we're going to work with for our purposes. Anything can be a sadhana, technically. The way we eat, the way we get ready to start our day, all of these things can be a spiritual ritual that we engage in every day. For our focus, our purpose, we're focusing on sadhana as a disciplined and intentional surrender to self and detachment from the distractions of the world. A sadhana is a daily choice to be one with ourselves and to allow that state of clarity and calm to overcome us. The key is that your sadhana be individual and for an intention, okay? So the elements of a sadhana. Sadhanas are daily practice. It's common to choose a set amount of days to give your sadhana a specific intention. For example, you might meditate every single day, but you might decide to have a 40-day sadhana to focus your intention and have a specific purpose for that block of time. So let's say, for example, you meditate every day to just sort of generally ground yourself and calm yourself, but then you decide to do a 40-day sadhana where you focus your meditation on the specific intention of healing from a childhood trauma, okay? That's an example. Sadhanas usually include a combination of setting an intention, breath work, meditation, yoga poses, and other mindfulness practices. And then you end with a closing. So you can go out into your day, kind of carrying the energy of that sadhana with you. A mindfulness practice, in case you're wondering what I mean when I say that, is simply anything that allows you to be hyper-focused on just the present moment. So we're not thinking about the past, we're not worrying about or planning about the future. We're being completely present in the moment and fully aware of how you feel in that moment. Practices like journaling, art, dance are all great mindfulness practices. The key is that it must be practiced alone and for the sake of the individual. So we'll be doing our sadhana in community in the sense that we'll all be tuned in to the Zoom at one time, but we will each be doing our own individual thing. And when I talk about the sadhana challenge a little bit later, I'll explain exactly what I mean by we'll all be doing our own thing. So we'll be in community in order to help make sure we do it and be there and show up. But what we do during that hour or so of time that we'll be spending together will be individual to each of us based on what we need and what we feel called to do. And we're doing this for our own individual sake, not for the group. This is not about sending, good vibes to anybody else necessarily. This is not about helping. This is all about you and your individual practice, your individual state of calm and clarity that you are cultivating with this practice. Okay. So actually, before I get to that, I'm going to share with you guys my 40-day sadhana story. It took place last year, right after I turned 35. In August, I basically woke up, and some of you have heard this story before. I woke up and I just felt like I was in a complete cloud. I felt like I was worn out, exhausted, not sure why I was doing any of the things that I was doing. I didn't know where I was going with my herbal medicine. I didn't know where I was going with tarot reading. I felt like there are 1 million people in the world doing tarot readings at this point, 1 million people making teas and smokes. why am I needed and what am I doing? Should I just go back to bartending or should I give it all up entirely? And I felt really overwhelmed and really sad, quite frankly. It was definitely not a, yay, I'm 35. It was like, oh my God, I'm 35 and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And something led me to sadhana. And I actually had never heard this word before that time in my life. And one of my yoga instructors mentioned it and explained what it was. And Spirit just said, this is what you need to do. And usually I can barely commit to do anything for more than like a week or so before I fall off. So the idea that I was going to do something for 40 days, I was like, what? But I just kept getting the nudge that it had to be 40 days. And, 40 days is a period of time that's significant for a lot of reasons. I'll talk about that in a second. But something just told me it had to be 40 days. And so I said, all right, I'm going to do this. And 40 days later, I had the space that I'm sitting in right now, which is BronxWitch HeadQuarters, a physical office space for witches and readers and healers to come and do their work. And over the course of that 40 days, that fog completely lifted. And I saw myself as somebody who is here on this earth to create spaces for others to thrive and to grow, to teach them how to embark on whatever journey it is that they're embarking on, and to create the space where they can safely and confidently do that. And so now I have this space where new witches and healers and readers can come and offer their services without having to invest in equipment or, rent an office space or invite strangers into their homes. And when I tell you, before this 40 days, there was nothing like this on my horizon. I was not looking at commercial real estate. I was not thinking about getting my own space. I was just trying to figure out how to survive another month of COVID unemployment, making tea and doing tarot readings. And then here I was. And I really did not know where I was going until the very end of that 40 days. It was just sort of like every week or so, the fog got less and less. I still couldn't see all the way through it, but it got less and less. And I said, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm glad that I had read a book called Shakti Rising by Dr. Kavita Chinayan, because she said something in it that really, really helped me when I started to worry that, my sadhana was pointless. Because I was like 25 days in and I was like, okay, where's my big moment of clarity? Like, why hasn't an angel descended from the sky and told me that I'm here to change the world or something like that? Like, what's going on? And she says right on page 1, it's literally like the first line of the book. She says, the path of spiritual practice or sadhana is mysterious and unpredictable. Expertly orchestrated by an unseen hand, it often only makes sense in retrospect. Meaning that sometimes when you get to the end of it, whether you do 40 days, 21 days, 7 days, you often don't know what it was accomplishing in your life until you're done. And you look back over that time period and you realize how far you've come and what exactly it is in you that has changed. So I say that to say, whatever you commit to for your first sadhana, whether it's 7 days or like me, if you're going to go beyond the 7 days, whatever it is, if you get to a point where you're like, why am I doing this? Nothing magical has happened to me yet. I don't get it. Keep going. It is the type of practice that really does make so much sense just as it ends. Okay. So we will be doing 7 days together. I will be continuing on beyond that 7 days for 33 more days for a full 40 days. So why 40 days? 40 days is a spiritually significant amount of time in many cultures and traditions. We see it more than once in biblical text. For me, as a Wiccan, as a pagan, 40 days is significant because there are about 40 days between each solstice or equinox and the following cross-quarter holiday. So we'll be starting the sadhana on Ostara, March 20th, and I will be continuing on until Beltana, until May Day, May 1st, which is 40 days later. My intention for my sadhana is personal, as yours will be, but I might, when it's all done, maybe I'll tell you guys what it is. But for now, it's up here, okay? And what I encourage you to do is to set an intention for your sadhana, okay? If you're going to do the 7 days, what is it that you would like to see in your life at the end of that 7 days? Whether it's something more physical in the psychic realm, I would like to be a stronger manifester. I want to manifest a certain amount of money or a new job or a love in my life, or whether it's more spiritual. I want to understand myself better. I want to overcome a certain addiction. I want to work through a painful trauma that I experienced. Whatever your intention is, you want to set that at the start and repeat that to yourself every day at the beginning of the sadhana, reminding yourself why it is that you have taken this time for yourself. Okay. And obviously 40 days is really intense. I happened to do 40 days for my first sadhana, but I was already a meditating person. So that made it a little bit easier because I already had a period of time in the morning that I set aside for myself to do these types of things. I just wasn't doing them with intention, so I already had, an hour carved out to do that. If this is your first time embarking on meditation as a regular practice, maybe you are not used to taking some time in the morning or at some point in the day to just sit and be present with yourself, then 7 days is definitely a lot more doable and something that you can commit to. Okay. So next, I'm going to talk about the 7-day challenge and get into the details of how it's going to happen and what we're going to do and all that stuff. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and get into the Q&A portion of our workshop so that we can address any questions that you have about meditation and about sadhana specifically, and then we can get into what the 7-day sadhana is going to look like. So I'm going to stop here and give you guys a moment to ask any questions. If there are any, there may not be. Okay, no question. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So like if, for instance, because I'm actually traveling next Friday, and I will be back in New York like late that night, the Monday. So say like, for instance, because more or less I will start mine like more for the evening because of how I work. So I already said that's like for the evening. So it's like, that means like for that evening, I'm going to be that Saturday that is ending, the 26th. Actually, no, I could still do it. I could get it in. Okay, scratch that. I could get it in. Yeah, because I'm not coming back until the Monday night. Okay, scratch it. Forget it. Disregard.
Good.
Disregard. Okay.
No worries. It's something else.
Get it done.
Yeah, get it done, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm going to go through the details of the sadhana right now. So I'm going to explain how it's going to break down and how we're going to do it. And then that'll probably answer any other questions about, what if I miss a day or I don't want to do a day or, how can I still participate? All that good stuff. So thank you for that question, though.
You're welcome. Or what about if you're still like, as you said, in terms of setting the intention of what you want to manifest, whatever that is, during that course of time. But what if you never really thought about in terms of an intention in particular of something that because it could be more than one thing. right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to stick with one because it's more like being focused,
Yeah.
and don't being like all over the place of, okay, I need to manifest this, or this is what I need. So if you're still like in between, because as you were speaking, I was trying to figure out, okay, what is it exactly that I need to manifest? Because I didn't even thought about that, because I didn't even know what I'm coming into and the expectations, and but as you're speaking, I'm thinking like, what is it? But then it had this thought and that thought. So in terms of bringing some clarity to narrowing it down to one specific thing.
Yeah, well, I think what I can say about that is to remember that you can repeat this process over and over and over again. So it's not that you have to pick one and then all the other options go away. You just want to pick one to do right now.
Okay.
So what you might want to ask yourself is, you might want to sit with yourself for a little bit and ask yourself about your priorities. Okay. There could be a whole list of things that you would like to manifest in your life, but what would benefit you the most to have first? Okay. Right? So let's say you want to manifest a new job, but you also would like to move and you want to get a boyfriend. Ask yourself which of these three things would facilitate the rest of those things and make things better for you. Maybe if you moved and you found a new awesome place to stay, that would motivate you to go looking for a new job, and you would know where to look because you would want to look in the location of your new apartment. And being in a new environment might have you going to new places, meeting new people, and that could bring in a new love interest, So, or you might say to yourself, listen, I really have to get a new job because I'm not going to be able to afford a new place or afford a relationship until I tackle this whole job issue. So I want to manifest a new job in my life. That's what I want to call into my life. My sadhana's intention is finding new employment for myself.
Okay.
So I would sit with your priorities and think about how they're related and let one of them kind of stand out as the most important, because once you have done your sadhana with the intention of manifesting a certain thing, if that is accomplished, then you can do it again for the next thing. Because that's kind of what's happening to me. I did 40 days and I was here. And now I'm like, I got to do that again because who knows what's going to happen if, so I'm going to do that again. And I also just want to let people know that your intention doesn't have to be manifestation. So it doesn't have to be focused on manifesting a particular thing. Your intention could be more spiritual. Maybe you just want to connect deeper with yourself. Maybe you realize that you're very distracted. Or that the voices of the world have really impacted you. I have certainly dealt with that, where sometimes it's hard to know, like, do I really want this, or do other people want this, and I am taking it on. So maybe you want to connect deeper with yourself and have that be your intention, because lots of things would benefit from that. So definitely. Rather than trying to find a specific physical thing, because manifestation is based on the physical, making something happen in the real world. If you feel like there isn't anything that you need to manifest, instead of focusing there, maybe go more the spiritual route and say, I would like my intention to be getting a better relationship with God, or having a better understanding of myself, or healing from a certain trauma. Because I know that if I do that, then a whole bunch of other physical stuff that I would like to see in my life will probably flow a lot easier. So you thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your question. Any other questions before I talk about the details of the sadhana? Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so the sadhana is going to happen from Sunday, March 20th to Saturday, March 26th. We are going to be meeting every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom, okay? And let me talk about some of the ideas behind this. So my intention for the 7 days, which is not my intention for my sadhana, but my intention for the 7 days that we spend together, is first of all to hold space for each of you. Hold space for you to commit to yourself to this kind of dedication. It can be hard to do something like this when you try to go it alone. I think we probably all have tried meditating before and have tried to make it a daily, weekly, some type of regular thing and have struggled. And so first and foremost, I just want to hold a space where you are not alone and where you feel maybe just a little bit of extra motivation to show up and to either wake up or to stop if you're not doing it in the morning, to stop your day and to give yourself the opportunity to take a meditative practice seriously. I also want to use this time to show you some of these different forms of meditation and breath work that we talked about when we talked about the different forms of meditation. So I described them to you, but you may not have actually seen them in action. So on each of the 7 days, I will be leading us through a different type of meditation so that by the end of the week, you will have an idea of, yep, I really didn't like those. That didn't work for me. Couldn't pay attention. Or yeah, okay, I like that one. I think I could do that for 21 days or 40 days or every day for the rest of my life. Okay. Your intention can be whatever you want it to be. Like I said, you might be doing this for a spiritual reason, like working through anxiety or a trauma that you experienced, or you might want to do it for something more physical where you have a particular goal that you would like to see come to reality in your life. Either way, I encourage you to give some thought between now and Sunday to what that intention for your sadhana is. Each morning, I'll go live here on Zoom on the correct room this time, and I will lead us in this sadhana. We'll start off with me just opening up the session by us each silently stating our intention. So we won't be sharing it with the group, but we'll take a moment to silently state that intention and to open the session. And then I will guide us in some breath work and then in a period of meditation that will last about 20 minutes. We will explore a different type of the 9 types of meditation each day. But if you prefer to stick with one type for all 7 of the days, please go ahead, mute me and meditate on your own. If what I'm doing is too distracting and you want to do something else, just mute me and do your own thing. Remember what I said was key about a sadhana. It is individual and for you. So we're coming together so that we can have a space that, just kind of lights the fire to make sure that we do it. But what you do during that hour is entirely up to you. You could spend the whole time with me on mute, doing your own set of breath work, meditation, mindfulness techniques, whatever you want to do, so long as you start your hour with setting your intention to yourself. Beyond that, do whatever you feel called to do. And then after we meditate, we will have about 20 minutes of free form mindfulness. So I will actually mute myself, and this time is up for you. Okay. You might journal, you might dance, you might do some yoga poses, you might chant, you might do some painting, you might bead a necklace, you might do some planting in, transplanting your plants, tending to your bonsai tree. Whatever mindfulness practices you would like to engage in during that time is totally up to you. You could do something different each of the 7 days. You could do the same thing for each of the 7 days. The point is to be in a state of mindfulness. And remember, that means being totally present in the moment. Not thinking about what happened 10 minutes before we started, not thinking about what you're going to do right after. What am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to wear today? Any activity that allows you to be totally present, up to you. And then at the end of that 20 minutes, I'll come back on and we will, I'll give us an opportunity to share anything with the group that feels appropriate. No pressure to share whatsoever. It's totally fine if we just have silence and no one shares anything, because this is an individual process. But if something comes up for you that you really just want to share with the space, you can. Whenever I do things like this, I have a specific instruction for there to be no feedback. So what that means is I ask that people refrain from commenting on what someone just said. Okay. So this way you can feel totally free to just let out whatever you feel like you want to share. Maybe a song came on your heart, or you just wanted to chant the sound of something and share it with the space. Rather than in a normal discussion where people might respond and say, oh, I agree with you, or, oh, that was really great, thank you. I ask that we have no response to anything shared at that time. So it can really just be an invitation to share anything that you'd like, with no judgment, no criticism whatsoever, good or bad. And then I'll close us out and we'll head off into our day. To prepare for this, I recommend that each day you maybe set an alarm a few minutes before 8 in order to get ready before we begin. You're going to want a quiet place, as quiet as you can get it, as free from distractions as possible. So I would turn off my TV, turn off the phones, unless of course you're using it to tune into the Zoom, but any electronics that might have bells and notifications and things, so turn all of that off. Feed the cat, because you know how your cat loves to interrupt as soon as you get started doing something. So feed the cat first, and then bring over the tools that you might want to work with that day. So if you're planning on journaling or painting or counting your mala beads, and you want to bring all of that over. I also encourage you to have maybe a blanket or a meditation mat or pillow that you can sit on, because if you are sitting for a while on the floor, you might get uncomfortable. So something to make things comfortable. Water. Have your water, definitely have your water. Tea is great. Water of some kind is really good. And then a space where you can sit erect with your back straight. So I like to do this up against the wall. I don't even try to impress myself with just sitting in air and no, I cheat. I sit up against the wall. Then I don't have to think about it. I have the wall to support me. My back doesn't get tired. But when we meditate, we want to be sitting with our spine erect and our crown chakras pointed upward to the heavens. So when we are meditating, some days I will lead us in a meditation that specifically works well in a chair. And sometimes we will do meditations that work particularly well seated on the floor in lotus position. So you might want to have a chair in the vicinity, so that if it's a chair meditation, you've got one, ready for you to sit in. Otherwise, on the floor up against the wall with a mat or pillow or blanket underneath your bottom to keep you from going totally numb is probably the best setup, okay? And then just remember that you don't have to actually participate in the guided meditation. So there's no pressure if you, let's say, don't have a chair available. That's okay. Instead of the chair meditation, you can mute me and do something different, okay? Some tech stuff, you are going to want to register beforehand using the link in my Instagram bio. Those will be available right after this. So once you get your email with your replay, you can also go ahead and check for the links. And each session requires a separate registration. And I've done that so that you don't feel committed to be there for all 7 days. You can decide the night before, am I ready for doing this tomorrow? And then just go ahead and register, and you will receive the Zoom link and an email just like you did for this workshop. Each session is just $5 each. And I separated them out also for that reason as well. So it's financially accessible to folks. Okay. Just like this workshop, the replay link will be emailed to the registrants of that session right after. So what that means is If you know that you're not going to be able to tune in at 8 a.m., but you still want to get the replay sent to you, then make sure that you register for that session. Okay, because the email is only going to be sent to the registrants. It's not going to be, you know, like posted somewhere or just available on Zoom. If you are registered for Tuesday's session, then you will get an email with the link to replay Tuesday's session. So even if you're not there, do you know what I'm saying? So if you want to attend Tuesday's session, then I would make sure to register for it. And then that will ensure that you get the replay link, whether you make it or not. Okay. So I think the best way to go about this is if you're saying to yourself, I know I want to do this. I don't know if I'm going to make it through all 7 days, but I want to do this. I would go ahead and register for all 7 days. That way you're on the mailing list for as a registrant for each day. So you know you don't wake up in time, or you just decide that you're not in the right space to do it that day, you'll still get the email link for that day. Okay. And then the replay link for this workshop, as I mentioned, will be emailed to the registrants for this session shortly after this workshop. And it will have a copy of this as well as the links to the 7 days, but they are, located in my Instagram bio as well, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in an email for you. So you have all 7. And then there's also going to be a link to a survey, which I very, very, very much appreciate you taking a moment to complete for me. So I have some feedback on how this experience went for you and can improve on those things for the next workshop. Okay. All right. So are there any questions on how the sadhana will go? Questions on how to register or how to get the replay afterwards, anything like that?
If I could, Allie, Wednesday mornings I work at 8 a.m. so I can do this in the evening, right?
Yep. As long as you're registered, you will get the email. The emails will go out every morning shortly after. So after we're done with the hour or so, the very next thing that I will do is sit down and send the link off to everyone who is registered for that day.
Yeah, because I don't think I could be doing this at the office at 8 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, people might, be a little annoyed.
There's no one in there, but it might be someone might show up.
Someone might show up, right? Yeah. So, I would, maybe register Tuesday night or something so you don't forget, because I'm not sure that you can go back and register after it has already begun or concluded. So that's why I want you guys, if you think this is something you're interested in doing, I would almost say go ahead and just register for all 7 days at once. That way you're on the registrant list. And then, let's say you decide you're just not ready to start. That is something that is totally okay. Maybe you're not ready to start and you need another week or 2 to think about it and get yourself in the right headspace. I think it is so much better to start something like this when you're ready than when you're not ready and then struggle through it and, be down on yourself about it. I'd much rather you wait. So you could go ahead and just register for all 7 days. That way you get a link to all the videos and then you could start watching them the week after or 2 weeks later or something like that. But then you would have them, Sorry for the banging. Someone's banging on.
I think that would be better for me, like in the evenings, because in the mornings it's hectic around here with these 2 people that live here.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have any quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably just register and just do it when they are gone.
Yeah, I definitely, I love the way you talk about your family, Josie. I love that. Yes, that's a great idea. Like I said, you want to set yourself up in an environment where you're not going to be distracted, where it's fairly quiet. Obviously, a lot of us live in urban environments, so we can't predict when someone's going to start banging things or stuff like that. But you want to do your best to try to give yourself the best shot at having it go well. And remember, mindfulness is one of the focuses. So if people moving around you is going to make you think about them as opposed to being present in the moment, then that's probably not ideal. But if you register for the day that you want to attend, you'll receive the link, around 9:30 or so, and you'll be able to watch it whenever you'd like, later that day or in a couple weeks or whenever.
I have another question, Josie. Josie. Hi, Josie. Allie. The length of it, because I start at 9 from home the other days.
Mhm.
Will we be able to complete? Will it be done within an hour?
Yeah. I'll
Okay,
be
cool.
doing my best to wrap things up within an hour. And of course, if you need to leave earlier than that, let's say we run over, anything like that, you're totally free to peace out when you need to. And I just recommend that you just take a moment to just go through a couple of clearing breaths and close it out for yourself. I am done with my sadhana. I am going out into my day, and then go off into your day, because that's the last few minutes of the session will just be for people to share their experiences. So if you don't have time to stick around for that, then you can wrap up whatever you were doing for your free form mindfulness. Maybe you were painting or working on a craft. You can wrap that up and go on into your day.
How do we pay for the sessions?
So when you go to register, the way you registered for this one, you'll notice that this was free. So it didn't charge you anything. That will be different the next time. When you click on the link to register, it will ask you to make your payment. And everything is done through SnipFeed. So you'll be able to pay with PayPal or with your credit card.
So you'll take the Canucks money?
I think so. I hope so. I think so. Stripe is international. So I think so. Otherwise we'll have to, I don't know, we'll have to work out like, a homing pigeon that like flies the currency down to me or something. But I think it's international. Do you have PayPal?
No.
Okay. So
I have a credit card.
If you have a card, I'm pretty sure it'll work. Let me know if you have any problems.
I will.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? So who thinks they're going to be tuning in? Who thinks they're ready to start a sadhana meditation? We're going to try. I see raised hands around here. We're going to give it a shot. Jen said, yeah. Jesse raised their hand. Okay, cool. I think it's important to make these types of commitments in ourselves and these types of investments in ourselves, certainly developing a meditation practice isn't going to hurt you. So I would imagine it can only help you. And I really want people to know that there's absolutely no pressure. So even if you register for all 7 days and then don't show up at all, that is okay. You will have the replays so that when you're ready, you can start. You can do this at any point in your life. If you sign up and then you just attend one day, that's fine too. That's one more day that you have taken to connect with yourself, to be one with yourself, and to bring clarity and calmness into your life. So you deserve a congratulations for however much of it you're able to do. Okay. And Nita will watch the replay. Absolutely. You'll receive a link to it shortly after this workshop. So thank you. All right. So I'm going to stop my screen share, and we're at the end of our session here. If there are any final questions, please do let me know. I want to remind you guys again of the importance of filling out the survey in your email. I really need that feedback. And I appreciate it so much. And then I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here, whether you're watching now or watching later. Thank you for taking this time for yourself, and congratulate yourself for taking the time to learn an important and special and beautiful practice. And even if you don't incorporate it into your life immediately or anything like that, you're one step closer to having greater mental clarity and more emotional calmness. So round of applause for you guys. Yay. Good job. All right,
Thanks,
guys. Well, Oh, thank you, Betty. Thank you guys for being here. So everyone have a really great and beautiful night. And I hope to be in community with all of you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Bye.
evening, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye,
Blessed
everyone.
be.
Bye.